Are you dreading your small business tax prep? If so, then this video is for you. I'm Melissa. I run a brand design studio by day and a handmade product business by night, and after doing this for more than 13 years, I have prepped for a lot of tax seasons. So in this video, I am breaking down my exact checklist that I use to streamline the system and make it so much less overwhelming. I even made you a downloadable checklist that you can follow along and save for later. So let's get going. Before I dig in, I just want to say, I am not a tax professional. Please read this little disclaimer on the screen and know that since I am not a tax pro, you'll always want to consult your own tax professional to make sure you've covered all your bases for your own specific tax situation. For years, every time tax season rolled around, I was like a deer in the headlights, just trying to remember everything I needed to collect for my CPA. However, over the years, I've assembled this little checklist to make things easier for myself. Yes, I do work with a CPA who does the actual return, but this is the entire list of the documents that I end up collecting for him and the figures that I collect for him. I do recommend working with a CPA. CPAs are not cheap, but they should end up paying for themselves and the investment that you make in them in the overall strategy and tax savings that they can make for you year over year. First up are your income sources. Now for me, I have income coming in through my design studio and I have income coming in through my product-based business. So I'm gonna break those down into two different lists depending on whether you have both of those things or if you're just like a consultant, small business, or whether you're a product-based business. When it comes to like my freelance design studio business, I first collect all the invoices that have been paid. And that's a really easy report queried in FreshBooks. I use FreshBooks for all of my invoicing for those. I do have a link to that in the description of this video. I also go through and I collect all my payments from Stripe. I have another business, a 1099 template, and all those payments are processed through Stripe. So I pull that report from Stripe. So you may also have something like that. Other payment sources you will want to make sure you don't need to pull reports from: PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, all those third parties, Cash App maybe. There might be others that you use, but those kind of third-party payment systems, unless they're already connected to your invoice system, you'll want to pull a report of payments made through those. Another thing to consider is you will want to collect all your 1099s from any from any clients who 1099 you. This all depends on how your business is set up legally. The way mine's set up, clients don't have to 1099 me anymore. But if you're a sole proprietor or just like a basic LLC, you will still get 1099s from any client who paid you more than $600. So all those payments should be reflected in your invoices, but you'll need to have the 1099s to provide to your CPA. So make sure to collect those. Those 1099s need to be mailed to you by the end of January, which means you might receive them the first couple days of February. Hopefully your clients are on top of that. Okay, then we've got product-based income. So first of all, the biggie is your e-commerce platform. So that's Shopify, Squarespace, BigCommerce, BigCartel, those types of things, whatever you use to basically run your website. If you don't have a website, the other thing would be all of your marketplace sales. So Etsy, Michael's Maker Place, TikTok Shop, things like that. Other kind of like third-party marketplaces where you would be selling your products. You gotta pull sales reports for those. And then craft show sales. These might already be in your e-commerce if you've got everything linked together, but if you use something separate like Square, or if you log your craft show sales in a separate place, make sure you collect those numbers. And then if you participate in any consignment stores, you need to collect those payments and put them all in a spreadsheet. And then wholesale, whether you do wholesale direct or whether you do wholesale through Fair or another third-party platform, collect all of those figures. And then finally, if you do any kind of licensing, you'll need to collect royalty payments. I don't do that, but I would like to get into that. So if anyone's watching, call me. All right, so those are all of your income sources for both like your consulting, freelance design, small business income, and product-based sources. So then the next big one is expenses. So again, you'll have business expenses, but then you'll also have personal expenses because it all depends how you put your return together. You may have a separate business return and a separate personal return, depending on how your business is structured. But if you're just starting out, everything will likely end up on your personal return. So you need to collect both the business expenses and your personal expenses. Let me start with the business expenses. Okay, first, easy peasy, business purchases. That's supplies, fees, professional development, professional services, contractors, online services, utilities like your internet or your phone that's business specific, all those types of things. Again, I mentioned FreshBooks with the invoicing. One of the things I love about FreshBooks is that you can connect your bank account and it'll just bring in every transaction you make. You can also bring in a business credit card and it'll bring in every transaction you make on that too. By the way, this is not sponsored by FreshBooks. I've just been using them for a long time and for the most part, enjoy the service. So again, link in description. All right, then this is one that I think people sometimes forget. Payment processing fees. Some of those will come in automatically. So when someone pays an invoice on FreshBooks, it logs a line item to my bank account, the fee that was paid. But for my Stripe payments that I take, those fees don't get logged to FreshBooks. So I've got to collect all of those fees in the same reporting document that I use to collect the payments that were taken via Stripe. You also might pay PayPal fees, fees on your e-commerce platform. So just look for payment processing fees and make sure they're accounted for in your expenses, because they're usually a chunk of change, a couple $1,000s a year. That's a nice little write-off you want to make sure you get. Then estimated taxes paid, which aren't technically deductible a standard expense, but your CPA will need to know that. Any estimated tax payments you've already made for the year. And then if you're a product-based business, you pay sales tax, also known as TPT tax, where I'm from in the States. And so you need to have your TPT tax payment or payments, depending if you file monthly or annually. You'll need to log those in your spreadsheet as well, your expenses spreadsheet. Wages you paid yourself, make sure to include those as an expense in your expenses spreadsheet. Health insurance premiums is another one. Here's one that I think a lot of people forget: mileage that you've logged through the year, whether it's going to client appointments or business functions, or for me, it's craft shows or restocking shops, things like that. Track mileage. Now, you might be hearing this video and you're trying to prep your current year taxes and you're gonna be like, how do I know my mileage? And honestly, you just might not be able to write that off this year. But as of today, start tracking your mileage. I use an app called Stride, again, not sponsored. It's a little annoying because they're always putting these ads up in your face, but they do have a free mileage tracking and they will compile it all in a report for you at the end of the year. So that's what I use for that. Let's see, and then last item on your business expense list, or at least my business expense list, is owner's draws or deductions. So as a business owner, you may take a salary, but you can technically also take additional income out of that business if you want or need to, whether it's a bonus or whatever. So if you've done that, if you've ever taken any money out of the business that was not reflected in wages, make sure you compile those payments. They're not deductible, but your CPA needs to know what you took. So I've logged that all in expenses. Then we have personal expenses. You'll want to collect all these. They may or may not be deductible. It's gonna depend on the exact way your business is structured, the exact way your CPA does your taxes. There's multiple ways to do these things depending on just how your whole business is set up. So these might not be all deductible, but it's good to collect them just in case, so your CPA has them. First of all, mortgage interest on your home. If you work out of your home, I should backtrack. These personal expenses, first of all, a few of them may be just deducted as personal expenses, but then others may be deductible as business expenses if you work out of a dedicated place in your home. Again, not a tax professional, but last thing I knew is it's got to be dedicated. You've got to have a whole room in your house that's your studio or something like that. And then you tally up the square footage on that, and that's what helps inform what percentage is potentially deductible. Okay, so back to the list. Mortgage interest is one, because you'll get to deduct some of that if part of your home is dedicated to your business. Property taxes, your vehicle license tabs. That one I don't know if actually affects business deductions, but I know you can often do some deduction with that on your personal return. Just collect it. Your CPA can tell you whether or not you can truly deduct it. HOA dues if you live in an HOA. Major home repairs or improvements, because if you got a new AC, guess what? It keeps your office air conditioned also, so you'll get to deduct like a portion of that. Any dedicated repairs to your business space. So I got new lights in this room this year. They're only for this room, so that's like a business deduction, the lights for this room. Home insurance, if you pay a home warranty, that would potentially also affect keeping your dedicated space operating properly. Pest control, water bills, because last time I checked, we all go to the bathroom as we're working. Not as we're working, but during a work day. Electric bills, because computers gotta run, right? And then internet. Oh, and I almost forgot cell phone. But those are all personal expenses that, depending on how your tax scenario and your business is set up, may or may not be partially deductible. So it's a good thing to collect them, give them to your CPA, and that way he's got the data if you potentially can get a deduction for it. If this is feeling like a lot, don't worry. That's why I've got the checklist for you. The link is in the description. It's totally free. You're technically signing up for my email list, but I'm just gonna be real with you guys and tell you, I don't even have any emails planned to send you aside from the checklist. So it's not like I'm gonna spam you anytime soon. The third area that we're gonna cover here is kind of like other financial and accounting related things. These are kind of like miscellaneous. They're not truly an expense. They're not truly income, but they're just other financial things you need to do or collect. First of all, you need to submit 1099s. If you paid a contractor, like someone who's helping you in your business, do the work, if you have paid them more than $600 in a calendar year, you need to submit a 1099 NEC to them. And that needs to be mailed no later than the end of January, as of the recording of this video. Once you've mailed them, you'll have a copy that you keep. You need to make sure to give those copies of those 1099s to your CPA. Sidebar, I have a template, I mentioned it earlier, that helps you complete these forms. They are not the forms. It's like a tool that helps you place everything in the right place and then print it onto the form. I will leave a link to that in the description also, just in case that's something that would be helpful to you. Interest earned on bank balances is another important one. Technically, that's profit, you guys, so you've got to pay tax on it. It sucks, but you do. And depending on, what money you got in there and how high your interest rate is, it can be an important number to include. So make sure you collect those. Year-end statements from all of your bank accounts. That just helps your CPA. I actually don't even totally know how this helps your CPA. They just always ask me for them, so it's on my list. I think it just helps them see an ending balance and maybe determine cash flow stuff, but truthfully, I don't actually know why they need that. They just always ask me for it. So best to include it. And then 1099s on your 401ks or investments. Now, here's a sucky thing, is lots of times they don't like to send you those till the middle of February. But if you have to file a separate business return, that is due on March 15th, I think 15th. So you got to start that return way sooner. My CPA usually wants all of my documentation no later than the end of January. So I'm always kind of here's everything, but I'm still missing these things. But your personal return would not be due until April 15th or whatever the deadline is this year. It's usually April 15th, but if that falls on a weekend, sometimes they change it. Things like 401k 1099s, you can kind of send later if you need to. But make sure to include them on your list of things to collect. And then if you are a product-based business and you're paying sales tax, make sure you've submitted your TPT tax. For me, I pay once a year because my sales tax income is actually not that high. So if you're, at least in Arizona where I live, if your total sales tax liability for a year is under a certain amount, you can only submit it annually. So that's what I do. I always do it the 30th or 31st of December. But better now than never if you haven't done it yet. But make sure to submit that TPT sales tax if you are a product-based business who has collected and owes sales tax. You also may be doing this monthly, but don't forget to do it for the last month of the year, and don't forget to just summarize those figures for your CPA. And then finally, you're going to want to include a copy of your W-2, which is like tax prep 101, right? We've been doing that since before we ran our businesses, right? So those are all kind of those miscellaneous financial and accounting items. We are on the home stretch, 2 categories left. Okay, next up, healthcare. And this is a pretty short list. You want to compile totals for prescriptions and then health insurance premiums paid, which I did actually include that in expenses as well. And then any medical bills, including your dentist, your optometrist for vision things, co-pays and bills you've paid to like your primary care or any hospitalizations or emergency, all of those things. Compile everything you've paid for medical and include that in the list that you give your CPA. They're not always deductible, but it all depends on like income versus like what percentage of income these healthcare expenses are. So always compile them, and that's the only way for your CPA to actually know if he can get you any further write-off with them. Next, we've got kind of the last miscellaneous category. I always make sure to include last year's tax return, like how much you either paid or got back in a refund. This is probably only necessary if you're using a new CPA. If you're using a CPA you've used for years, they have all this on file. You probably don't need to include that line item. I always include my contact information just as like a reminder for them, especially if maybe you moved during the year. They might not think to ask you that, so it's good to just upfront provide it. I include address, phone number. If you have a fax anymore in these days, fax, I don't think many of us do, but email, my social security number, and then my tax ID number for my business. That way they've got that all in one specific place and don't have to come back and ask me for it. Again, if you're using the same CPA you've used for forever, they probably already have it, but I just always recap it just in case. Often your CPA will also send you like a tax questionnaire or a tax organizer. Make sure you complete it to the best of your ability. But I have found that it's usually just kind of asking basic ballpark questions, and then they're gonna actually act off what you send them. So if you're sending them accurate things, everything should end up accurate. And then finally, receipts for any contributions to charitable organizations, which if you're a generous person, that can be like a huge tax lever for you. And then receipts, this is similar but not exactly the same, for tax credit contributions. You'll want to make sure to just like note if that donation that you made was actually to a tax credit organization. Because most states, actually, I don't know that for a fact, I shouldn't say most states, in Arizona, there are certain tax credits you can get, and they're basically just donations to charities, but they're donations to charities that are like approved by the state, and there's up to a certain dollar value that your donation, you basically get to write 100% of it off. It just like totally comes off your tax bill. So that's why it's called a tax credit. It's actually a credit towards the tax that you owe. So those are really smart charitable contributions to make if your state offers them. Okay, that's the full checklist. So once I have all of that collected, now we gotta organize it, because you gotta make it so that your CPA knows what in the world all these documents are. So I'll create a folder, and then I create subfolders for kind of each of these big categories. All the data for my income, all the data for my expenses, all my 1099s, things like that. I create a subfolder for all of those. Then, once I have all that data, I create a spreadsheet and I extract the key data into the spreadsheet. And what I usually do is I make a tab for each. So I've got a tab for me, I'll do a tab for design income, and then I'll do a tab for other income. Yours might just be one tab for all of your business income. And I will copy the information in there. Like in many cases, I'll just put the raw data in there, but like for my other income tab, I'll tally like income from my Shopify site, income from consignment, income from wholesale, and so I just kind of have a line for each of those, and then it totals in the spreadsheet. The nice thing about putting this into a spreadsheet is that you can check all of your data, but the data is in like a raw format that your CPA can manipulate if they need to. If they just need to know the tally of 2 of those items, not all 5 of them, they can just grab the 2, add them together really easily, and no errors were made. So that's why I do that. I work really hard on this spreadsheet, and for a long time I was like, is anyone even appreciating it? But the last time I sent my stuff to my CPA, in my like recap call with them, the kind of like second in command CPA was like, oh, when I saw yours come through, I jumped at it because it's always so organized. So apparently CPAs like this organization system. I have validation now. Okay, so I compiled this spreadsheet. So there'll be like a tab for income, a tab for expenses, a tab for medical, a tab for charitable contributions, a tab for other, which is where I like do bank balances and things like that. And I tally, why is the word escaping me? The interest, the interest I've earned on those bank balances. And so it's kind of like all the important data is organized into this spreadsheet, but then those folders that I told you I create contain the raw data in case they need to cross-reference or check anything. Or even for yourself in the future, you might 2 years from now, maybe something happens and you've got to go back and check your records. If it's all organized like that and isn't just all over your computer in single documents, it makes it really easy to go back and find what you need. Like your future self will thank you, as well as your CPA. Then I just submit all that to my CPA. At that point, the taxes are like, they're not done. The CPA still has to do a ton of work, but my role is done, at least for a few weeks. And it's like, whew, breather, go get yourself a drink. Okay, and if you don't want to remember all of this, don't worry. I've got the downloadable checklist. It's right in the description box. Again, it's free, and I have no plans to spam you with email. So the link is below. Download it, save it, let it make your tax season so much easier. If you've liked this content and you want more small business related content, please make sure to subscribe. I would really appreciate it because I've got a lot more coming for you guys.